Hello, hello, my people. Hello, hello to the best ethnic group in the whole world. I hope you're all keeping well, and I hope Kenya is well, Tanzania is well, Congo is well, Ethiopia is well, South Sudan is well, and of course, I hope Uganda is well as well. Now, today, my brothers and sisters, we are going to do a Luo book review, and I'm sure you've all heard from time to time where I talked about Luo history being told by the Luo people instead of it being done by a non-Luo. Now, because I believe so much in that, yet I took the chance to actually start interviewing Luo writers or Luo authors, and that book is called Unsung Giant Who Fought to Keep Africa Free. That is Unsung Giants Who Fought to Keep Africa Free by our brother Okoth Owity Opap, who is actually in studio with us here today, and is here to talk about the book. Now, why did I start doing Luo book review? Because this is actually the first time ever I am doing this on this channel, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm sure the last couple of weeks you've been seeing me saying that it is very important. I think it is beyond important for Luo stories to be told by Luo people. So we need to look upon Luo writers, we need to look upon Luo historian to actually come out and to tell our story, to avoid confusion, to avoid manipulation, to avoid... We know how things can be twisted and how certain people feel a certain way, and they would write about it so that it'll become the true story, even if it's not true. So that is why I'm often encouraging Luo writers to be the one to tell our stories on this channel. Now, of course, without further ado, my brothers and sisters, let me just welcome our brother Mr. Okoth Owity Opap to come and tell us about his book. And just to start by maybe giving a brief description about himself. Brother Okoth, welcome.
Thank you, Irene, Irene, for having me. My name is Okoth Owity Opap. I'm a Luo from South Sudan, from Anuak group.
Okoth, where are you located right now?
I'm in the United States right now. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah, United States of America.
Wow! And how long have you been in the United States?
I've been in the United States for more than 20 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes.
And do you go home often? Do you visit back South Sudan often?
No, I went to Kenya in 2017, and then I came back.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Now, without further ado, we are going to talk about you a little bit before we dive into the book. We're just going to talk about you a little bit. So, when did you first actually realize that you wanted to be an author?
Well, it was my childhood dream to be a writer. But to write a book, it was in 2019. That was, I left America and I went and lived with my wife briefly for 2 years in Australia. So at that time, I had a time to write a book. So that child dream became reality when I had time when I was in Australia, and I wrote that book.
How long did it take to write the book?
It took me 2 years to write a book.
2 years. Wow, that's a very long time. That is a very, very long time. And what is your real life schedule when writing this book? What was your schedule like when you were in the process of writing this book? Did you have to take time off work, or were you working and writing as well? Because I know some writers, they would disappear into the jungle or into the mountain somewhere where no one can see them so that they can actually focus. Did you have to do that while you were in Australia? Or would that be the purpose as to why you actually went to Australia?
Yes, that's one part of the reason I went there to be with my family. Since I don't have a document to work in that country, it became an opportunity to write a book full time. But writing is a long journey. Even though you are writing 10 pages, 20 pages, it takes time because you have to think and then translate your thoughts to the paper or into writing. So they take time, and also you need time to relax a little bit. So I would start like writing early morning, then take some time off during the day, and then go back to it. It's more than full-time work for the last 2 years before I published the book.
Wow. That must have been really, really challenging. And Okoth, how many books have you published so far?
Unsung Giants is my first book,
It's your
and
first
I'm
book.
working on second book now to be published this year.
Wow. Interesting, interesting. And just to ask, what really inspired you to write this book, Unsung Giant Who Fought to Keep Africa Free? What inspired you to write this book?
Yeah, what inspired me to write a book is that, I went to school here in the US, and from high school to university, up to graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
So what I learned from American history here, which is not different from what is taught in other parts of the world, Black people in general are not in the picture in the world history. And sometimes books that were written by the West are not really a representation of the African people. So when I first read this book, and the book called Political System of the Anuak People, I decided to write a book. So during my research, here is what I found. There are two, my writing focused on two. I'm going to touch this a little bit so that people understand why I wrote this book. Number one, I talk about Egyptian civilization. There was a question from Dr. Diop, a Senegalese writer, who really wrote a lot of books about Africa and Egyptian civilization. According to him, he has a question that says, is it myth or reality from his book? In that book, he talked in detail who is ancient Egyptian and who is that civilization. So when he went further to his research, he found out that people who is that civilization in ancient Egypt were Anu. Anu people were the Luo. People who is that civilization in ancient Egypt, they were called Anu. Anu people, they were Luo. So when people talk about civilization, ancient civilization, they are talking about Luo civilization. However, that link between Luo and ancient Egyptian was cut off. So the Luo are totally different people from civilization that started in Egypt. Since we were already in South Sudan, Uganda, and Kenya, so there was the link, European delaying Africa, delaying Egypt from Africa, saying that Egypt now is a part of Arab world and no longer part of Africa. And therefore, Luo civilization is no longer linked with, Egyptian ancient Anu civilization is no longer linked with the Luo people.
Wow. Wait, so you were saying that the Luo people were actually involved in the in civilization in Africa, and they were deliberately cut out from that.
Yes.
Like the information was deliberately hidden from the public.
Yes. Here is another example I want to give to you. There are two kings. The first king of Egypt, it is now written Menes or Menya, but his real name in Luo was Menya. I think you actually know what Menya means. That's the first king of Egypt. His name was Menya.
Menya.
But in Western books, books, they pronounce it Menes or Mena. And there was a reason why they do that. European had hard time to pronounce NY together, especially Luo name like Nyang, Nyanza, Yikan, all of these they cannot pronounce it the way Luo people do. So instead, they remove either Y or NY, and then the name would sound totally different. Even Luo themselves can't recognize it anymore when the name is pronounced. So from Menya, then turn it to Menes or Menya. I mean Menes or Mena. But the actual name of the first king of Egypt was Menya. And the last king of Egyptian also, who was killed, and then European took over, the actual name would have been either Owing, but was spelled Owing.
Owing.
Wing, but actually would have been wing, which makes sense in Luo language. And also they use
wing
the word
as in like
growth.
Wing as in listen, or the bird?
Bird.
The bird. Oh, winya. Winya,
yeah.
Yes.
So, but they just said OWING, like wing.
A wing.
That's another way to to distort Luo names, and Luo cannot even pronounce them correctly and know the meaning of the word.
So it's sort of like they change it so that it's easier for them to pronounce the names. But
yes, easier for them to pronounce the name, but Luo cannot recognize their name anymore.
That is interesting. And sorry, can I just ask, would you say, because I know others have, I mean, a lot of historians said different stuff about this particular topic. Are the Luo, would you say we are the original Egyptians before, let's say, the Arabs came in, the people from Middle East came in? Were we in Egypt beforehand? Are we the actual Egyptians before we were pushed down to South Sudan?
The people who live in that area, because at that time, Sudan and Egypt was one. So Egypt was called Lower Egypt, and Sudan was called Lower Nile, and Sudan was called Upper Nile. So it was one country. And the people who were there earliest before the others were the Luo and Nubian.
Luo and Nubian. Wow. So, okay. But then that is a full confirmation that we Luo actually we came from from Egypt. We are the original Egyptians before the Arabs came in. Am I fair to say that? Is it okay for me to say that openly?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the confirmation. I feel happy. Now, can you tell us just a little bit more about this book? Because I know you talked about what actually inspired you to write the book. But now, do you want to just give us some idea of what the book is actually about and what story or what information, what are some of the information that you have provided in this book for us to read as Luo people and those that are also non-Luo? What is this book about in particular?
Okay, I just mentioned now the origin of civilization. Now I'm coming to one of the reasons why I wrote the book. One of the reasons I wrote this book was the defeat of the British by the Anuak people in 1912 at the Battle of Yom. In most African countries, nobody ever defeated the British. Another country that fought and defeated the European was Ethiopia. Ethiopia fought with Italian in 1896, and Ethiopian successfully repelled the Italian. However, Italian came back in 1936 and defeated King or Emperor Emperor Haile Selassie. Haile Selassie went to Europe. But the first battle in which Italians were defeated, it was by Menelik II. That was 1896, and the second war was 1936, and the Ethiopians were defeated, and King of Ethiopia went to England and was there for 5 years. So coming to here, defeat of the British, the war was fought in Southern Sudan, in area of Okoth, and British were defeated right there and went back to their base in Akobo. They never came back completely. And the reason why Anuak is divided now, Anuak was divided in 1902. And Ethiopia. At that time, there was no any foreign power in Anuak land. Ethiopian were not in Anuak land. British were not in Anuak land. Just they look at African map and try to divide these people called Anuak. So when Anuak come into contact with Ethiopia, I want this to be clear. Some people think that Gambela land was Ethiopian land. No, it was not Ethiopian land. Anuak moved to Karen land from Malakal when Yika and Gilo separated. That was 15th century. That was the time Gilo moved to this area. From 15th century, Anuak come into contact with Ethiopian in 1880. It was Anuak been there without knowing each other with Ethiopian for 380 years without knowing each other. And certainly in 1880, Anuak met with the Ethiopian. So within that meeting, when they met, that's also a way Anuak acquired firearm from Ethiopia in 1880. And then after the acquisition of firearm, they start to harm themselves heavily, train themselves, and that's why Anuak were able to defeat British in 1912 in the Battle of York because they had gun already. And it was only Anuak and Ethiopian who were armed at that time, but the rest of African, they did not have firearms like Anuak and Ethiopian.
So basically, overall, you would reckon like, okay, this book, from what I'm getting from the picture, this book talks about the history of the Anuak or the Anua and how they have defeated the British. Am I correct to say that?
Yes.
And does it involve any other Luo group apart from the Anuak, or is more specific to the Anuak people?
Yes, original civilization is the Luo civilization, not Anuak. Okay? Defeat of the British by this time now, actually, Pori and the rest of the Luo, they already left Anuak land. They were now in Pori, they were now in Pajok, Acholi land, Uganda, Kenya. This not just take place recently after other Luo already departed to where they are now, and Anuak remained there, and they were the one who fought this war alone.
I hope my viewers, there are more. Yeah, I hope everyone is now eager to actually read this book because there's a lot that the book talk about. And as you can hear from Okoth as well, the book talk about also Luo civilization. And before going into talking about how the Anua or the Anuak people defeated the British. Now, my brother Okoth, there's a quote that you wrote, okay? There is a quote that you wrote on your book, and that is on page 76, if I'm correct. Sorry, just to be more clear.
Yes.
On page 76 of your book, I'm going to read this out quote per quote. You said that you took this quote actually from another book. And this is what the quote said. There is a tribe called Anuak living in southeastern Sudan and western Ethiopia frontier. They were born trained. Therefore, do not give them power and education. If you do, they will be more powerful than you. And this quote, you took it from a book called Anglo-Egyptian Sudan Political Arts. Now, my brother Okoth, do you want to actually shine more light on what this particular quote actually meant to you and why you felt it was very important to take this particular quote and also have it in your book?
Yes. Thank you very much, Ellen, for reading that out. Okay, this quote, it meant a lot, and it is also one of the reasons why Anuak are suffering today because of that quote. So let's go a little bit after the Battle of Jom in 1912, in which British were defeated. Another year later, British tried another region, Colonial, to penetrate through. Also, they were defeated there. So now they came to conclusion that to disarm Anuak had more than 10,000. This is now from 1912 to 1930. They have 12,000. They have more than 10,000 guns in the whole Anuak nation, and it was not easy for the British to disarm them since they already knew the battlefield was really the war was hard. So what they did was to cut relations between Anuak and Oromo. So the Anuak had long history, like I mentioned earlier, since 1880. Anuak started trading with Ethiopian, especially Oromo. Anuak buy gun to Oromo. Oromo would come to Anuak area. Anuak would take them to hunting camp where the Anuak can shoot any elephant or for them, and later, because after, we get this from Oromo. I want to be straight here. The trade is between Anuak and Oromo. The government did little, but Oromo and Anuak involved in the trade. All gun and ammunition, Anuak bought them from Oromo. So at that time, Anuak become very successful and they become good well shooter, snappers. So Oromo realized that, instead of wasting their bullet, Oromo would come from their area, maybe 3 or 2 people carrying extra gun to give to Anuak who can shoot elephant for them, and then they can take elephant home by exchanging. Anuak would kill the elephant for them. After the elephant is shot, and then they give gun to this Anuak who shot that for them. So that's the trading that's going on. So when British were defeated, they tried to destroy the relationship between Anuak and Oromo so that Anuak would not have guns and ammunition through Oromo. What they did was they held a protest in Addis Ababa about the British who were killed by the Anuak, saying that they need to stop the trading. And one of the European company that used to sell gun to Ethiopia, it was Australian company, so it stopped that business because they ship gun to Djibouti. So American president gave pressure to them, and they stopped that. It was like what we call today sanction on the Anuak people. Up to 1912, they did it so that Anuak would run out of bullets and all of this. This one thing. A second, that's what they did. And another also they did was now, because their ally was Ethiopia when they split the Anuak into two. So now they had to find another ally within South Sudan. And that ally was Nuer and Murle. So in 1912, before the battle between British and Anuak fought, in 1911, King Akoy Cham went to Akobo and kicked Nuer out from there in 1911. And the reason why Anuak fought with the British, because British was supporting Nuer. So the land invasion of Anuak, when Nuer came, Anuak in 1912, in 1980, they decided that they don't need any single Nuer on their land. And the mission was carried out successfully. But it was the British who intervened. Even though Nuer were already cleared out, British built what they call Akobo Post and Bipur Post. So Akobo Post was built to protect Nuer from Anuak chasing them away.
But I'm sorry for the interruption. Why was it that the British decided to protect the Nuer specifically when there was a war or a disagreement between the Anuak and the Nuer people? What was it? What made the British to specifically support the Nuer and not the Anuak?
Okay, this is not only during the colonialism, the colonial powers, not only the British, even in other places, they do this. They would go in the area, they will try to find ally to weaken the stronger people in the region. That's exactly what they did. They did it to Anuak, they did it to other people. So when you read a book, I wrote about it extensively. For example, they would come to certain place or certain people and talk to them, make relationship with them, make them their ally, and then single other person out. So when they deal with that African tribe, when that African tribe fall, they will come the very ally, the British, the very people British consider their friend, they will also turn against them. That's how colonial masters use African against each other and finally kill their own friend and now take over the land. They use this is an example when they are in Anuak here, but they did it anywhere in Uganda, in Kenya. They use certain group as their ally, and later the British and the ally will overpower that another nation. After that, British would turn against their own ally and make all that nation fail.
Like this book, you can tell there's a lot that this book is covering. And Brother Okoth, I want to thank you so much for coming on. But can I just ask, will there be a second edition to this book? Are you going to write a second edition, or are you already in the process of writing a second edition?
No, what I'm writing now is totally different. I'm writing a second book. It's going to be published this year, but I'm going to do second edition of Unsung Giants to update Anuak history. But the one that's coming up soon is different from this.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And now for the people that are listening in, to all our Luo brothers and sisters that might be asking on, where can we get this book called Unsung Giant Who Fought to Keep Africa Free by Mr. Okoth Owity Opap? If they want to read this book, where can they purchase this book? And how much does it cost?
Yeah, for those who are in the West, they can purchase the book through Amazon. And another book retailer, you go to Amazon with that title, you will find the book is $40. So for people in the US here, even I have a copy with me in my office here. This is the book. Let me show our listeners. This is the book. This is the book, and the man here on the cover is King Akwai Cham. His father was the one who defeated British in 1912, and his name was King Akwai Cham. So this is his son, Agada Akwai Cham. He's put on the cover because there's no picture of King Akwai Cham to go on the cover here. So for those who are in the West, they can find the book on Amazon and purchase it there, $40. For those in the US here, buy on Amazon or contact me directly, and I will sell I have a copy with me here, so you can buy from me. But for those who are in Africa, I make it easy for you guys in Africa. So I know because a lot of people called me, they wanted the book, and unfortunately at that time, book were only in the West. You can buy from Australia in the United States. And now, 3 months ago, I sent copies to Nairobi. They are now in Nairobi, Kenya. Some people already bought their copies from Nairobi. And I think I will give number to Sister Irene, and if anyone interested to buy in Nairobi, so you can now give the number of the person to Sister Irene, or you just inbox me, and I will connect you with the person on the ground to buy a book. And some of the copies are also in South Sudan, and you do the same thing too. My friend is there selling them. Yeah, just I'll give number to Irene, so that if you are in South Sudan, you can get it from my friend in Juba. If you are in Kenya, you can get it from one of my sister in Nairobi selling them. These are the places in Africa where you can buy the book, Juba or Nairobi.
Thank you.
And they are in Nairobi. They are selling them for 3,700. It's about $30, equivalent to 3,700 Kenya shilling.
Perfect. And sorry, is it $30 on Amazon as well for those that are going to be purchasing the book from the West?
$40 in Amazon, but in Africa it's $30.
$30. Oh, there you have it. Thank you so much, Brother Okoth, for coming on here today. I really appreciate it, and I hope this will be a new beginning to all our Luo book writers or our Luo authors, those that are planning on writing more books. I do encourage that a lot, because I strongly believe that it is important for every Luo story to be told by the Luo people. And that is my dream, and that is what I'm going to be pushing on this channel as well. Now, as you can see, my brothers and sisters, Brother Okoth has published a book that doesn't only cover the history of the people of Danua or the Anuak only, but it also talks about the Luo civilization and what we actually did, the role that the Luo people played in Africa, even if it was not recorded or it was deliberately removed from the history. So this book, it's for me, it's for you, it's for your mom, it's for your dad, it's for your children or your unborn children. So this is how we are going to keep on learning about our culture, our history, and everything that was hidden or intentionally removed, so that we are unaware of our whereabouts and where we came from, but most importantly, the power that we have. And this is why it is important for us to have people like Brother Okoth, who are out there starting to write book, and they want to get the proper information out there to our people. Now, Brother Okoth, thank you so much once again for coming on this show. Now, for all the Luo people that are watching you right now, would you have any farewell message to them, or any words of encouragement to all the Luo people that are coming together at this very moment?
Yes, my message to Luo people is this. As I mentioned earlier, the world history has been distorted and talk only about white. Civilization that I talk in detail about in the book was considered to be a civilization started by the European. But the very European, I'm talking about Greek here, these are the people who came to Egypt first, and they were the one who were civilized by the African, especially an ancient Egyptian, and later Greek taught the European, and European become civilized. So when we trace the origin of civilization, according to Western history, they go to Greek. They cut off. Who taught the Greek? They don't mention. Greek were taught by the Anu people. For example, people who were taught by Anu or ancient Egyptian, the most well-known philosophers and writers of Greek were taught by Africans. For example, Thales, Aristotle. These people were taught by African people, and these are the well-known in European history or Western history as the people who contribute heavily in literature and philosophy. But they were taught by African. Without African, these people would not be educated. And this part of history, because of the color of the skin and human jealousy, why black people start this, they were cut off from history. And this is the first time now for Africans to read a book with full information, to see themselves not as slaves and people who were colonized, but
Let's
people
see.
who
Let's see
started
the cover
civilization.
one more time. Show us the cover one more time.
This is the book to read.
Unsung Giants.
Unsung Giants who fought to keep Africa free.
Thank you.
Reading this book is going to make people very proud, because African was put down for two reasons: slavery and colonialism. This put African at the bottom of the society. Even this mentality of the European and white in general is still there. But reading this book, it changed all the myths. We started civilization. During the colonization, one of African nations fought and defeated the British. What I learned during my study, and I wrote it in the book, is this: when European or colonizer fought with African country, that was harm like them, African won. That's why Ethiopian won and you have won. Because both these are two countries that fought with European with gun together. But the rest, they are just moving African down, African fight with their spears, and they had gun.
You're filled with so much knowledge, Brother Okoth, and I can't wait to see all the books that you're going to be publishing. And actually, no, I can't wait to read all the books that are going to come from you, because anyone can tell that you are filled with knowledge, and you're filled with knowledge with wisdom as well. And when God has blessed you with this sort of information, it is important to put that in writing. So once again, Brother Okoth, I just want to thank you so much for taking your time to come on here today, and also to talk about your books. And of course, to everyone who's watching this video right now, as you heard from our brother here, the book is available if you're living in the Western world, whether in America, Australia, Europe, Canada, you name it. The book is available on Amazon, so you can go and purchase the book online. And the book is $40, and it's called Unsung Giant Who Fought to Keep Africa Free, by our brother here, Mr. Okoth, Owity, Opap. So those in the Western world, the book is available on Amazon. And for those that are in Kenya, the book is available to order also in Nairobi. If you need the number to purchase the book, do reach out to me, or also reach out to Okoth as well. And also, as he mentioned, the book is also available in South Sudan. So wherever that you are right now, even through contact, even if it's not at the shop right now where you are located, if you're interested in the book, do message me, or also do message Brother Okoth, and the book will be sent to you as well. But at this moment, thank you very much for watching this video and for coming this far. And of course, also thank you very much, Brother Okoth, for coming in today to talk about your book. Thank you very much. Oh wait,
thank you.
Inanywa, it's in a poch Dutch.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.